Well, thank you, Chair Eisen, and I, like you, was disheartened to learn that the DACA was being rescinded in 6 months pending congressional action to put its provisions into legislation. And I and our team immediately turned our attention to triage and to permanent solutions. As we know and have discussed during the course of this meeting and so many other times, we have met countless DACA students, heard their stories, and celebrated their achievements. And we have hired hundreds of DACA employees who contribute to our university's mission each day. These incredible young people whose determination and brilliance in their academic and career pursuits is matched only by their courage to come forward in spite of incredible risks to them and to their families. And each and every time I meet a dreamer, I am reminded of and grateful for my own immigrant story. While my immigration status was different 6 decades ago, I knew the incredible challenges that my parents overcame then to get us out of Argentina and eventually to California. I also know that at the age of 9, I had no say in the matter. My parents did what they had to do, and I'm forever thankful that they did. And like our dreamers today, I am grateful to be an active part of this state and of this nation. Certainly, many of our dreamer students, alumni, and employees brought to the United States as young children know no other country than this one. This country, our country, is their country too. They have pledged allegiance to our flag, and they have paid their taxes. They have enlisted, they have fought, and they have died for our country and our values. They have built businesses, purchased homes, and given back to their communities. They have and continue to represent the California spirit and the American dream. So to our DACA students and employees, to our dreamers, please know that the California State University remains in steadfast support of you and your academic and career goals. This support is unwavering. It is my personal commitment, and as Chancellor, I also speak for the California State University. In discussion with our trustees, they too are unanimous in support of you, as are the 23 presidents and 6 vice chancellors and their staffs. I also want to thank the CSSA. I want to thank the Academic Senate and labor leadership and the many thousands of CSU students, faculty, staff, and alumni and friends who have come together to speak out in unison in support of our dreamers and to take action. Indeed, I shared many of the stories and contributions of DACA students, alumni, and employees with members of California's congressional delegation and the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. just last week. And I'm pleased that many of the elected leaders I spoke to on both sides of the aisle recognize that DACA recipients are valued members of our university, state, and nation, and that congressional action is needed now. I also want to thank Governor Brown and California's elected leaders for their quick response in support of our Dreamer students. Together, our shared message is, we will always support you. And as we move together, it is also our responsibility to make sure that CSU and its campuses serve as accurate, timely clearinghouses for information relevant to our DACA students and employees. As more information and resources become available, the CSU and its 23 campuses will utilize every communications and outreach tool available to get the word out. But so for everybody here today, please, again, take note of this vital information and share it with all those who need it. First, DACA status and work permits are valid until their respective expiration dates. Second, while currently no new DACA applications are being accepted, existing DACA issuances and work permits that expire before March 5th, 2018 must be submitted for renewal next month, no later than October 5th, so that these individuals can get a 2-year renewal of their status. October 5th. Please remember that date. This fast approaching deadline requires all hands on deck to help identify our students and employees who qualify for renewal. I urge you to let your colleagues, coworkers, friends, and family know. Don't wait. Don't wait till the 4th. Get in front of the line. Financial assistance is available through the state on many of our campuses and through private organizations to pay the $495 application fee. Don't let $495 get in the way. More information can be found on calstate.edu. Third, if you leave the country currently through advanced parole, the Department of Homeland Security will no longer grant you permission to re-enter, regardless of your DACA status. And fourth and lastly, I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. To our DACA students, attend class, go to work, apply for internships, join research projects, support your siblings, parents, family, friends, and all others who need your support, strength, and guidance. Continue to excel in your studies, inspire others to succeed. Change minds, ignore the haters, and graduate. And in this spirit of social and economic ascent that the CSU provides to our DACA students, indeed to all of our students on all of our campuses, I ask that you view this short video by Vox. It is based now, and please go ahead and tee it up. It is based now on the now famous Stanford study on colleges being engines of upward mobility that came out earlier this year, led by economist Raj Chetty and contributed to by colleagues from around the nation. Justin, please roll the video.
Elite universities love to market themselves as engines of upward mobility.
Elite and egalitarian.
And for low-income students, they do offer incredibly generous financial aid.
I found out that for a family like ours, we wouldn't have to worry about affording Harvard.
I'm really grateful because I wouldn't have been able to get here were it not for the amazing financial aid package I received.
Thanks to some new economic data, we can now see just how good these colleges actually are at lifting students out of poverty. And when we do, the results aren't what you'd expect. A group of economists looked at two sets of records: income tax forms from the IRS and graduation data from the Department of Education, with all the identifying information taken out. They looked at 10.8 million people born between 1980 and 1982. The tax forms showed how much money their families made, and the researchers placed each person in a group based on that income, from the bottom 20%, whose families made about $25,000 or less per year, to the top 20%, whose families made about $110,000 or more per year. They looked at where each person went to college and how their position on the income ladder changed about 10 years after graduation. If you look at kids from the bottom 20% who go to elite colleges like Harvard, they do really well.
Over half of them go from families in the poorest fifth of the American economy to being in the top fifth by the time they're in their mid-30s.
Same thing at Stanford, Yale, and Princeton. The problem is, these schools don't let in very many kids from the bottom rung of the ladder.
In the class of 2013, only 4.5% of Harvard students came from the bottom 20% of the income distribution. So about a fourth as many people as you would expect if Harvard were representing the American population.
Testing data show there are plenty of qualified low-income students out there. They're just not applying to elite schools.
Many, many, many more people who were born into privilege and have wealthy families get to go to these places.
Then there are colleges with the opposite problem, like Moultrie Technical College in Georgia. 34% of their students came from the bottom rung of the ladder.
It's really good at access, but a very small fraction of them make it to the top fifth of the income distribution.
But there are some schools who are good at both.
Cal State LA. It's a commuter school. It's enrolling a lot of poor kids.
20% of students come from the bottom rung of the ladder, and half of them end up at the top rung.
Pace University in New York, which does a little worse on access.
10% of its students come from the bottom rung of the ladder.
But well over half of them wind up in the top 20%. David Leonhardt at the New York Times refers to them as America's great working class colleges. And I really like that saying that they're not the famous ones. They're not the ones that get a lot of press coverage or get represented in movies. There's no social network about Cal State LA, but they're doing the work.
So Chair Eisen, while that video focused and highlighted the wonderful work at Cal State Los Angeles, it actually is reflective of the work on all 23 campuses. To that I say to the presidents and the faculty and staff, thank you. And to our students, DACA or not, the California State University is the mechanism by which we ascend both economically and socially into an increasingly complex and divided world. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you very much, Chancellor.